Rev up your engines! Okay, today we got an interesting one. This is a 2016 Ford Focus. It's one with the controversial dual clutch transmissions that go out. The owner thinks this one's starting to go out. It probably is, but he's had kind of a sleazy interaction with a Ford dealership, two of them. He took it to two Ford dealers and they both said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's out of the warranty period. It's a year or two old." The warranty was 100,000 miles, but it was only a certain amount of years, and it's past that year. He went to two of them. They said the same thing. "Oh, sorry, you're going to have to pay a fortune to fix this thing," right? But did they tell him about the class action suit? Of course not. Check it out. 2016 Ford Focus is covered under the class action suit for 2012 to 2016 Ford Focus vehicles. So this is definitely one of them. It's got the dual clutch transmission. The thing is, the class action lawsuit, and they had to pay between $2,000 and $25,000. Because it's 25 grand is pretty much what the most expensive new one was. Every single customer that I had with one of these that went bad, that did take it to a Ford dealer and said, "I know about the class action lawsuit," they either offered them $2,000 or $2,500 for the car. Now, as you can see, he's taking care of the car. It's still a good looking car. It's only got 96,000 miles on it. He runs good, except the transmission seems to start being going out. I'm going to check it out to make sure it is. He doesn't want to sell this for $2,000, $2,500. Hey, it's a transportation car. It's like the car. It gets good gas mileage. And here's the weirdest thing of it all. It seems to be starting to break down now, or 90,000 miles. Let's say he'd put more mileage on it. Then it probably would have broken down entirely. You couldn't even drive it. If he would have done that and paid to get it fixed, Ford would have had to pay that money back. That's part of the settlement. If he would have paid 3, 4, 5 grand, whatever, to replace the transmission, they would have had to give him the money. That's the law. But he hasn't spent any money on it yet. Because it's just starting to break down. He's kind of in no man's land. Of course, I still find it exceptionally sleazy that the Ford dealers didn't tell him, "Oh, there's a class action lawsuit." They just said, "Oh, the factory warranty is gone on these." Mileage not, age yes, but they didn't mention anything, of course, about the class action lawsuit. And unfortunately, this is often the case because people that don't understand, Ford Motor Company is Ford Motor Company. You go to a Ford dealer, they are independently operated businesses. If they have to fix or buy back a car, they're not making any money on the deal. They're only interested in making money. They told them it could be $4,000 to $5,000, which is what the cost is for these things, right? So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. I'm going to check it out now to make sure the transmission is what the problem is. Diagnostics, auto detect, connected. It's Ford America, not Ford EU. We'll do a standalone diagnosis. Knows the VIN number. It's a Focus, direct injection, 2-liter automatic, dual clutch transmission. Whole topology scan, so here we go. And while it's doing it, you can see the interior is still in excellent shape. The seats are comfortable. They're still in good shape. They're nice little runabouts. If it only weren't for those dual clutch transmissions they put in these things. The typical Ford. I didn't beep the horn. Ford's computer did. It's checking all kinds of stuff. Well, the only actual code it has is for minor stuff. We'll erase those anyways. So let's start her up. And we'll look at the automatic transmission data. Transmission control module. We'll look at the live data. This has had computer transmission diagnostic trouble codes cleared 6,500 kilometers, so it had codes before. Stan's sitting here. It's not showing any errors yet. So we're going to take it for a road test. See if there's anything through any of them that have any errors yet. There's nothing that show errors yet. We'll have to go through them all. There's a lot of information, I said. So, we're going to take it for a road test. Here we go, driving down the road, and we're going to watch this data while we're driving. Now, he often has a problem from first to second gear. So, here we go. We're going to see if it does it. We'll listen for the grinding noise again. Okay, here we go. We're going to do it under hard acceleration now. I felt it jiggle. Didn't make the noise, but I felt it jiggle. Taking off again. I heard the crunch. I heard the crunch! He said, strangely enough, the crunch is more going left than right. Yeah, I can feel it slipping. There it is. Yes. First gear is blocked to protect mode. Yes. Notice it said no before. Well, when we really hit it, it said first gear is blocked temporarily, protect mode, showing that there is a problem. It was all no, now that's yes. And here's the thing. Ford software isn't the greatest, and sometimes they want to protect themselves. Obviously, this has a problem, but it has not tripped a trouble code for this transmission yet. So even if he took it to a Ford dealer and said this class action suit, you got to fix it, they would get in it, they'd put their computer and they said there's no transmission trouble codes, and they would refuse to either fix it or buy the car back. It'd have to be in worse shape, but that's the advantage to machines. This shows it. Indeed, first gear, second, has the problem. There it is. Yes, it was no before. Here we go again. Yep, I feel it jiggling. Yep, there it goes. See, there we go. Okay, so we got a dilemma here. He's got to decide what to do with the car. He's already taken it to Ford dealers twice. Now, he could go to the class action lawsuit, but I've had customers try that. Normally, they offer him $2,000 for the car, but they probably wouldn't even offer him anything because it's only starting to act up and it hasn't tripped any transmission trouble codes yet. As you saw on the machine, my machine shows there's a problem in first gear. It's being locked out, and that's right when you take off, when it's getting ready to shift. And you could feel it, you could hear it. It's starting to go up. The class action lawsuit says in order to get in, you have to have 3 or more repairs within a certain period to the transmission for them to be able to reimburse, blah, blah. No money's been spent on this yet. So you're not going to get far. And of course, the whole thing is they're allowed to offer anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500. Right? Why would he want to sell it? I'm sure if they did offer him anything, and I don't think they'd offer him anything now because they'd say there's no codes. We don't have to offer you anything. But if they did, they'd probably offer him $2,000 for the car, or $2,500, like they did most of my customers that had these things. Right? Heck, he could sell this thing at Carvana or something for $4,000 or $5,000 easy. He might as well do that rather than take the peanuts Ford would offer him, even if they would offer him. This is the problem with class action lawsuits. The lawyers make a lot of the money, and whatever's left, the peanuts, is fed to the people who are at the other end of the class action lawsuit. And even though this thing is covered, there's no arguing about that, they'll fight tooth and nail not to have to give any money for it, and certainly not to fix it because they told them at the dealer, okay, to fix this thing, it's going to be $4,000 to $5,000 because it's out of Ford's original warranty. They didn't even mention the class action. They kept their lips sealed on that. I'm going to tell them to go back to Ford just to talk about the class action lawsuit just to see what they say. But as I just explained, you're not going to get peanuts from these guys. They don't want to give you anything. And all the people that I know that did it, the top offer was $2,500. And the guy said, what the heck? I could still drive it. So he just kept driving. Eventually it went out entirely. But hey, that was like a year and a half later. So he drove a car for a year and a half. They were only going to offer him $2,500. Going to cost you more than that to rent a car for a year, that's for sure. Certainly if you're thinking about buying one of these cars used, don't. Do not buy. And I don't even care if they fixed it, because most of the guys that fix these things, they're going to give you a 1-year warranty. And these are very complex dual clutch transmissions. I have found very few people who actually know how to repair them. The only real success that I've ever seen were people that they found a wrecked one in a junkyard that had 40, 50,000 miles on it, and they put a used transmission and it worked okay for a while. Actually rebuilding them, there's very few people who know how to do it on these things correctly. I know guys that are automatic transmission experts, they won't touch these things. They cost too much money to rebuild them correctly. People don't want to spend the money, and it's a business for them. If they can't make money doing it, they're not going to do it. Really, it's a shame because the rest of the car is excellent. Gets good gas mileage, rides good, the seats are still in good shape. It was a nice little car, except for the stupid dual clutch transmission that Ford put in a bunch of cars. And the reason that the class action suit won was because they studied all kinds of stuff and they looked back and found out that Ford actually knew these things had problems, but they kept manufacturing and putting them in millions of cars. So that's why there's so many of them out here with this problem. And truth be known, there's other ones out there with a similar transmission problem that aren't covered under this class action lawsuit. It always works the same way. If you have a bad part and put it in different cars, hey, the other cars are going to end up having problems too, but they're not covered under any of these warranties. But as you see, it doesn't really mean that much half the time anyways, because they'll offer you peanut money, or they'll just say, oh no, it's not covered under that. You haven't spent any money fixing it yet, and this is just starting. Oh, there's no codes. Code schmoes. Any fool can get in this car and drive it, see from first to second gears, it clunks, it shudders, it does weird stuff. It doesn't do it in any of the other gears yet, but hey, they'll just say there's no codes. Computers are set by people. People set parameters. The parameters in this case are rather wide, so even though it's like this now and it's shuddering, it doesn't go far enough so that it trips a code. Eventually it will, you know, but now you know a lot more about these and why you shouldn't buy one. Unless it has a manual transmission. If it does, they're excellent vehicles. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.